What's good, y'all? This is the real A-Town, and here is a DB hat replay. I'm playing against this guy named Recklessness, and funny enough, the profile picture that they have is going to be very reminiscent of the match that we have. And I say that because, well, you'll see the deck that I'm starting with. I am playing Laval Artifact. Chatuti. If you know, you know. I ended up seeing their deck profile and I was like, you know what? Let me tweak it up a bit and see if I can, play it at all, right? And actually, it did pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. I was a big fan, and I love Lavals for a very long time. The reason why I love Lavals is, like everyone else who loved Lavals, you can make Quasar, and Quasar is one of my favorite cards of all time. So why not play and see what the deck can do. The extra deck is really weird. I can't showcase it right now, but I'll put it on the screen. There's a lot of things that I wish were different, but we'll move on to it. Realistically, it's just the level 6s. I think HTS Behemoth would have been great, and you'll see why. So my hand is Laval Cannon, Soul Charge, Ignition, Molten Conduction Field, Lady, and Breakthrough Skill. Honestly, not a bad hand whatsoever. On my opponent's side, Card of Consonance, MST, Breakthrough, Pot of the Economy, which is a random card. It doesn't see much play nowadays, but in early hat, it was seeing some play in actual hat, so this is fun to see again. Now, the last card is Dark Eruption. Haven't seen this card in forever. Literally, hardly any deck plays it anymore, but it's understandable once you see what this my opponent is playing here. So in here, I just go Molten Conduction Field, and I just go through the whole motion, right? I mean, the card was designed for Lavals, and this is the card that he ends up having a problem with later. You'll see why. But yeah, I end up setting Laval Lakeside Lady, setting these two cards and pass. My opponent ends up doing a whole lot of the same actually. MST, Breakthrough, pass. From here, I just summon a Laval Cannon and decide I'm gonna just go for damage. I could have gone for a 7 play, but my 7 options are also very lacking. I only have a Black Rose in there from what I remember, so yeah. I just decide I'm gonna poke for damage. Aside from that, I set the new call, and I think he ends up MSTing that. He does, which is fine. I don't need it. He goes ahead and Dark Holes. I'm like, that's fine. I don't lose much. I have my whole engine going, and I have a Soul Charge, but I don't think in my head that I really have to do anything yet. So I just end up setting this bottomless and passing. And you're going to see a lot of this, a lot of back and forth. I have Blaster here. He summons the Zephyros. I bottomless that. And honestly, I'm just chilling. I really don't think I have to do anything. I get a little aggressive with the Ignition here and set the Moral Tech and end up drawing for turn. I draw Moral Tech, which is, a little ass, but you start noticing that with a lot of these rogue decks, especially after you mill so many cards, or dump rather, you're bound to see these eventually. So yeah, he still draws a whole lot of nothing, and I'm like, I really don't gotta make a play right now. I see he dumps Redox. I'm like, okay, so he must be playing some weird dragon build. Surely it's not Mythic Ruler, because he would not have bricked this much, right? So yeah, sets the Carboneton, and then at this point I'm like, you know what? I think I can get aggressive. Let's give it one more turn. I really didn't have to, but after seeing the second Soul Charge, I was like, screw it, I'm gonna do it. And I point my targets. Guy's like, yeah, that's cool. And so I end up summoning all of them. From here, I go for a level 5, Laval Dragon. He says that's chill. I go for another 5 in Armades. And then I banish 2 to pop the set. It's a Breakthrough Skill. And I'm like, that's fine. I don't have to commit too hard. I banish 2 for Redox here. And I think I make a Leo. Yeah, I make a Leo. And then at this point, I'm like, my field is set up. I'll pop the other card and we'll see what happens from here. And he ends up scooping it up. Can't really blame him. He didn't draw very well. And we end up seeing exactly what he ends up playing this time. I did side, by the way. I forget exactly what I sided, but I'm sure we'll see the options here. I see the duo. Oh, actually, I did not side because I didn't know what deck he was like still playing. I was like, I could assume Mythic Rulers, but I didn't want to side and like not actually be comfortable with what I did with it. So yeah, Pot of Duality is weird. I kind of want to change this to Upstart. I might do so. But like sometimes the deck is like kind of slow, so you can deal with it. So turn 2, my hand is like, alright, his hand is stacked though. Dragguard, Labradite, Dragon Shrine, Maxi, and Wingbeat. Wingbeat is actually pretty crazy. It is an alternate to a Heavy Storm, which is insane in this deck because if you summon the Labradite, you get to get free advantage. But yeah. From here, he goes card of consonants. That's pretty free. He goes ahead and dumps a Redox, and you'll start seeing that the Redox actually ends up putting a lot of work. I should have thought about it more in my head, but you'll see the misplays that I end up doing here. So I go Pot of Duality, grab Dustflame Blast. Dustflame Blast actually put in a lot of work against the opponent this entire match, at least for games 2 and 3, especially game 3. But yeah, I go ahead and some of the Curry Bandit. I'm like, that sucks. But I have Sanctum, Call, Moral Tag, Dust Flame. So I'm like, I can get rid of this Leo sooner or later. But you'll see here that me setting only 3 was kind of the correct play. High key, I could have dealt with not setting the Call. But yeah. He ends up swinging on the Curry Bandit, and I go Artifact Sanctum. I have to force it one way or another. He has the breakthrough skill. From here, it's my turn again, and I get Sanctum again. Not really the best thing that I could have done, but I held the Dust Flame Blast, and I'm like, I don't need it right now. I can just wait till later. He decides to try to attack my Moral Tech. I summon Beagle Tech, target my back row, summon the Moral Tech, he gets a draw. I'm like, that's cool. Moral Tech, pop, and then he goes Drag Hard, and I go Breakthrough. But that doesn't stop him. He goes for the Wingbeat here, kind of late, but it's like whatever. Adds the Redox, and then he gets a free summon back with the Leo next turn. So pretty unfortunate, but I got a call, so I'm like, I might be fine. From here, I just swing for some damage. I gotta get that chip in. Main phase 2, I think I make... What do I make, actually? I think it might be a Pleiades. Yeah, it's a Pleiades. Worthless Pleiades. It should have been Durendal High Key. I think that would have been much better, but I don't really think too much about it because I don't know. I was just thinking Pleiades is the safest play. Durendal probably would have been a lot better. It definitely would have stopped the Redox, so yeah. Anyways, he goes Redox into Leo, and I'm like, oh, I think I'm fucked. I decide, screw it, I can go bounce back the Moral Tech at the very least and go for it again later. I go Call, target the Moral Tech, he banishes it with DD Kron. I'm like, well, we win and we lose. I have the Card Trooper, Dust Flame Blast, and Moral Tech, and pass. He has MST. I'm like, that's cool. I use the effect to draw 1, and then draw into another Card Trooper set. I could have activated the Ignition early, but I didn't think there was a real need to do so because I was like, I'll probably just Ignition my Moral Tech and get over to Leo. You'll see soon, though, that does not end up working in my favor. I go target, and he goes Curse Seal, a Forbidden Spell. Kind of crazy to play. I don't really think people should, but technically... it hits Soul Charge. Sorry, so it's not the worst card that he could have. But yeah, I go Card Trooper, get the draw, and I finally see a Laval. That's like my main problem. I just didn't see a Laval the entire turn. I think I decided to go a little aggressive for a Synchro play, so I go ahead Soul Charge for 3? Yeah, for 3. From here, I go Mill, because I want to at least get some of the Lavals going at this point in time. Summon Lakeside Lady, make the Stardust Spark, and I end up passing here. From here, he summons a mathematician, dumps Zephyros, that's right. And then, yeah, he's just able to capitalize on this Carbonetin. I think it's summoned from the deck. Yeah, it does, level 7 or lower. So he's able to make another Leo, which is rather annoying. I was thinking hard. I was like, I could pop it now and not deal with a Leo. He kind of just summoned it anyways, and I was like, okay, sure. Do what you want, homie. And I'm like, at the start of the battle, I'll go ahead and pop these two. High key, I wanted to go for the moral tech. You know, he didn't have a breakthrough skill there, and so I wanted to on resolution destroy one Leo and my moral tech, and then moral tech summon to, you know, pop and have more advantage if possible. Instead, again, this guy really just playing out of his ass, just decided to pop his own Leo, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I'm like, if he doesn't have anything, then this should be game. But he ends up summoning the Redox here, and that ends up being my downfall. Instead of trying to find a way to get rid of it, mainly because I don't have a way to get rid of it, it does go back to his hand, and so I'm just like, screw this, I'm gonna mail some more cards. Obviously Handmaiden doesn't get her effect. It's not milled by card effect, it's milled before cost. But yeah, I go start a spark, protect, I'll draw 2, or maybe no, I do. And then I'm like, okay, I got a blaster, maybe I survive like another turn, see what I got. Sanctum, I think I have no more moral techs. No, I have one. But as you'll see, he ends up MSTing the correct one. Such a lucky pop, man. I should have probably set what's it called, sent Blaster and Handmaiden to pop the Mystical Space Typhoon in the back. I just really wasn't expecting it to be an MST, and I'm like, you know what, I think that's GG. So yeah, that's a pretty bad misplay on my hand, but I was like, you know what, I'll bounce back. This is the big card, right? So Molten Conduction Field, it says send 2 Laval monsters from your deck to the graveyard, right? This guy has a Laval Handmaiden as his profile picture, and clearly he must not know how, or they, I don't know their gender, but they must not know how Molten Conduction Field works, and this person just pissed me off. So I go Molten Conduction Field, and I send Handmaiden and Lakeside Lady, because I have a Soul Charge and Curry Bandit. I'm like, ooh, I'm about to pop off. And so I'm like, effect. And he says, you know, it doesn't work, right? And I'm like, question mark. And I'm like, I'm gonna send these anyways, you cannot stop me. High key, I should have waited, like, you know, on, I think, let's see if you have another Laval monster other than the Handmaiden. Oh, I mean, that already meant the condition, so it wouldn't have mattered if he DD crowed me. But yeah, what's it called? I mean, it would have, but like, that's in hindsight, like he could have just banished or whatever. But anyways, he's like, both sent at the same time, and I'm like, well, you'd be incorrect that I could not, you know, use that card. He was like, I ran that deck, and I'm like, no, you didn't. If you ran that deck, you would know that Molten Conduction Field would trigger Handmaiden so long as I sent another one. They're sent at the same time, and I was like, he was like, yes, I did without Curry Bandit, but you need to have one engraved first, then use that spell. I don't care, but I'll show you the ruling later. And I'm like, no, just show me now. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, like wholeheartedly. If there's some random ruling out there, and you guys too in the comments or watching the screen right now, if I'm incorrect, do let me know. I'm always someone who, you know, if I'm truly wrong on these rulings, I will take responsibility, because I don't want to cheat, you know. So I would love to be proven wrong. This guy, though, did not provide me with any information, because after about 5 minutes he says, I'll find it later, and I'm like, so you're wrong, by the way, but I'll proceed. And phase, mill some more, grab Sanctum, and pass. So he has Dragard plus the Dragon Shrine, so he immediately is going to be able to get a Leo, which means that my Soul Charge is going to be weaker because I can't, you know, drop as many life points. But I'm like, screw it, you know, I'll get a couple of draws. I end up grabbing Laval Cannon and Dust Flame Blast. Again, Dust Flame Blast is going to go in here in just a couple of moments. End phase ignition, pop the breakthrough skill. I'm like, you know, it could have been better, but whatever. So yeah, I go ahead and I think I set the other 3 spells and traps, which puts me at risk of the spell card that they have, the Wing Beat. But I'm like, screw it, you know, I don't care. I'll go ahead and set Laval Cannon pass. He has Card of Consonance. I mean, what an amazing card. On attack declaration, I'm like, Dust Flame Blast, screw it. I could have just Sanctum. The reason why I did this is because I wanted the Laval Cannon to bring back one of the monsters, so I didn't really want it to get destroyed. And you could argue like Sanctum, special summon Beagle Tech, target, pop, and then worst case scenario, I lose it. But I didn't want to take that chance. I was like, screw it, Dust Flame Blast. You know, it feels so irrelevant to do it right here. But it ends up working in my favor. I banish all my Lavals, pop his Leo and my Moral Tech, and then he goes, you know, DD Crow. I'm like, that's fine. I don't feel bad whatsoever. He summons the Redux. I go End Phase Sanctum. I banish his breakthrough skill. I don't know why I did that. I think I was trying to be disrespectful, but yeah. Yeah, here I'm like, oh, I'm tripping. Like, why did I do that? Anyways, my turn. I go ahead and summon the Handmaiden with the Laval Cannon. I sink for a 6, Vulcan the Divine, and he actually ends up drawing the Veiler off the Max C, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of crazy. So I'm like, well, that's fine. Set, pass, End phase. He gets the Redux back to hand. And he gets a Wing Beat of a dragon plus the, what's it called, Dark Hole. And I'm like, wow, this guy is actually insane. I don't think he has enough. No, he does. He has Maxi and Labradite Dragon. What does he end up doing? Misclick. I'm like, you're good. He allures. He Dragards. That's right. He ends up getting a bit greedy. I think he should have summoned Redux and then Wing Beat, and then go for Dragard. Instead, he ends up playing into the Bottomless, and to this moment, I don't know why he didn't end up drawing or dropping the Redux right there. I guess technically if he summoned it, I would have just Bottomless anyway, so I guess that was not even a bad play on his end. But I had another Sanctum, so I guess at the end of the day, it did not matter. I say that, but now I drew the third one, and I'm like, shit. But it's okay. From here, I end up soul charging Vulcan the Divine, Laval Cannon, and the Handmaiden. Pay my 3k. I end up sinking for a 5 in Armades, set the Moral Tech, and then I pass. Here comes the... Oh, did I have a Beagle Tech in deck? I did. That's why I didn't care. Okay. He ends up going for Redux, summoning back the Leo. I'm like, Sanctum, you know, if you have it, you have it. I go ahead and pop my Moral Tech effect, summon, and I think from there that's GG, man. Next game. While he does summon the Redux, it ultimately doesn't matter because I go Volcasaurus. Oh no, I guess this deck doesn't play Volcasaurus. The extra deck space is really tight. I go Pleiades, bounce, summon Blaster, and that's GG, man. So yeah. Overall, the game was really good. This was a very mid-tier deck, let's be real. But, you know, a deck that can shit out Leos like as no tomorrow is still a pretty scary deck. It's just unfortunate that Moral Tech does not target. So yeah, that is it for these current games. If you like this video, share, subscribe. I was a little disrespectful to the opponent, but I truly don't think he knew what he talked about whenever he told me I couldn't use Molten Conduction Field. Now again, if I'm wrong, I am wrong, and if I am corrected wholeheartedly, I'll place a disclaimer in the video that I did cheat, but I do not think I'm wrong. I used to play Lavals a little over 10 years ago, so I think I know what this card does. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Peace. I'll put out more Hat DB replays sooner or later.